Hello, welcome to the Saroy channel. I'm so glad you've joined me this evening. I send my love to all my subscribers all over North America and Canada and Kenya. I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much for your support. And anyone who hasn't subscribed to my channel, you are so welcome to. And do hit the notification bell so that you know when I've released another story. And there is one every single day, so you don't want to miss out. The story I have tonight is so remarkable, it seems almost unbelievable, but it really did happen. And it's a story of a young boy who had an amazing encounter with a Bigfoot that seems almost out of this world. So let's get started. I know you're going to enjoy the story. It's called My Son's Bigfoot Secret. My name is Yvonne, and I live amidst the scenic rolling hills of Morgan County, Missouri, on about 150 acres of land. We are situated about 15 miles of North Versailles and west of Tippon. Our property is an ideal location for hunting turkey and trophy whitetail. We have well over 40 acres of timber, including ubiquitous trees scattered liberally all over our property, as well as a glorious lake and several stunning ponds. We also keep livestock on our property, which include horses, cattle, a few pigs, and of course free-range chicken, which I love to raise. I have two sons, Cliff, who is 13, and Barry, who's 15, and my children were very outdoorsy. They used to spend countless hours exploring the outdoors. They would regularly go either hunting with turkey with their father or learning to hunt big whitetails on our land. My Bigfoot story came to pass a few months after I noticed my younger son had slipped into a very deep depression, and as a mother I could not understand what on earth was going on with him. My son, who was normally up before the dawn chorus, helping his dad eagerly with the cows or going cycling on his mountain bike on our property with the sheepdog Rover running eagerly behind him, was now sleeping in late every morning until lunchtime and even over the weekends. And he never went out on his bike anymore, nor did he help his father with the cows, or ever ride his favourite horse Clover. He just slept the whole time. I would try and encourage him to go on the turkey hunt with his dad, but he refused to go. Things got worse when the school phoned and told me that his grades had rapidly slipped, and he had not attended the school sport games he was supposed to be involved in. Worse still, I found out from his two best friends that he had recently distanced himself from them, which was unlike him. My son had always been adventurous, extremely social, fun-loving, and had been popular at school. So what on earth was irking him, I wondered, and why was he so withdrawn? As a mother, you want to make everything right for your son, but my son refused to talk to me. He became defensive and angry, saying that there was nothing wrong with him and to quit bothering him. I took him to see a psychologist, but the woman got nothing out of him at all and said that the only time that she got any kind of response from my son was when his face lit up when he was stroking her three little sausage dogs, who warmed to him immediately. You see, my son adores animals. One day my older son was playing with a remote control while we were all eating a TV homemade lasagna and watching TV. And suddenly my older son turned into a program called Finding Bigfoot. Wow, he said, if Bigfoot was real, we could have one on our land. I mean, we've got the water, the food sources. Our land would be the perfect habitat for a creature like this. Pity they're not real, he said. Of course they're not, said my father. I was beginning to worry that you were believing all this hogwash. What about all the sightings people claim to have had, said Barry. Son, I have hunted this land all my life, as my father did before me. And never in my entire life have I ever encountered such a creature. My bet is all these so-called sightings are really bears. Or hoaxes, said Barry, like all that crop circle stuff that made everyone believe they were being made by aliens. And then finally 2 people admitted to making those crop circles, which they did for many years. Well, that's really a whole nother topic, son, that I know nothing about, said my father. As a farmer and a hunter, I can safely say that Bigfoot is just the stuff of myth and legend for a gullible public to soak up. Suddenly my younger son grew red in the face and looked furious. You, Dad, and Barry are such idiots," he said. "You think you know everything, but you know nothing." And with that he stormed out of the television room in a dreadful huff. My husband's jaw hung open in astonishment. "What the heck was all that about?" he gasped. "You clearly hit a raw nerve, Dad," laughed Barry. "It's been a while since Cliff has reacted to anything, so things are looking up, I suppose." I was stunned, but also well pleased to finally get an emotional response from my younger son. But why would the subject of Bigfoot get him so flustered, I wondered. The next day, when both my sons went to school, I decided to search Cliff's room. Maybe I'd find some clues about what was upsetting him so much. It did cross my mind that a girl he fancied could have let him down, or maybe he was a victim of bullying, so I needed to find some answers. I dived through his drawers and cupboards, not knowing what I was looking for, and finally I found a pile of papers and was shocked to see that he had done dozens of pictures of Bigfoot. Although these pictures made him look like a cuddly bear because the creatures looked small and cute. Then I noticed another big picture of an enormous Bigfoot creature that he had scribbled over angrily with a red pen. What the heck was going on? Did my son have some weird obsession with Bigfoot? Or had he actually seen one? If he had, that would have explained his defensive behavior towards my husband and Barry the night before. I decided to do some research about Bigfoot myself, and certain things about the creature sparked my attention. For a start, we regularly heard whooping sounds on our land. I had heard them for so long but never examined their sources. I also frequently heard whistling in the forest, but thought that was a bird, and tree knocks I just put down to woodpeckers. Supposing I was wrong, and that Bigfoot could be the one making those ambiguous sounds. So that day I took my ATV and travelled around our vast acreage of land, and even I was surprised at just how huge our land was. Looking for an elusive Bigfoot would be like looking for a needle in a haystack, I thought, and it really was. The first port of call was the lake, and I was searching for large prints in the mud on the side of the lake, but found nothing. And after a long while of searching here and searching there, I became discouraged, and then I had an idea. I'd take my ATV back home and do some hiking of my own in the woods. I felt that maybe my ATV was making way too much noise, alerting the Bigfoot to my presence. My thought was that if I could be quiet, maybe I would be able to sneak around the woods and hide as much as possible in case I did actually spot a Bigfoot. I had spent most of the afternoon looking, and then I came to a wooded clearing near one of the larger ponds, and I noticed a lot of tree limbs had been snapped, which was curious for me. I then looked at the muddy area around the pond and found a humongous footprint. It could have been a bear, I thought, but it could just as easily have been a Bigfoot as well. Then I heard it. Something was whistling and moving towards the pond, so I went and hid behind a large stump of tree and peered at the creature. I was so disappointed. The footprints had been of a bear. There he was, standing there larger than life, and he was big. I was bitterly disappointed and about to make tracks when I heard the creature whistling. Now bears do not whistle, everyone knows that. So I continued to watch the creature, and then he lifted his long arm to scratch his back, and he did not have paws but hands. OMG, I thought in excitement. It is a Bigfoot, a real Bigfoot. I was stunned. Please turn around, I begged in my mind, so that I can have a good look at you with my scope. As if on cue, the creature turned to face my direction. It was distracted by something that was leaping from the pond, and it was a frog. He grabbed the creature and started to eat it, much like a chicken drumstick. The Bigfoot was covered in brown hair that was pretty clumpy, as if he was very badly tangled. He was about 7 foot tall, 500 pounds, and I noticed was especially big across the chest area. And the thing that got my attention were his very long arms that went way beyond the knees, and also the head, which was bullet-shaped. He had a prominent forehead that was deeply furrowed, grey skin, and a few whiskers around the chin area, with a slender mouth. The creature continued to whistle after he'd eaten his snack, and then he glided back through the way he had come with extraordinary grace on those lean, muscular legs of his. After my Bigfoot encounter, something shifted in me. I would say that all my life I had been the most dreadful cynic, like my husband. The other night, watching that Bigfoot program, seemed ludicrous to me. How could a clever, intelligent, educated person believe in a creature like this? And now I had egg all over my face. Yet I was thrilled to be wrong, because the world was now so much more exciting for me, with endless possibilities. If Bigfoot was real, maybe other things I had discounted in the past could be true as well. When my son returned home from school, I asked him to come into my bedroom, as I needed to speak to him urgently about something. He sat warily at the end of my bed, looking anxious and twitching his fingers. "Are you mad at me about my grades?" he asked. "Well, they're not good, are they?" I said. "But that's not what I want to talk to you about. It's about Bigfoot." "What about Bigfoot?" asked my son, turning as white as a sheet. "I've seen him too," I said. "You've seen him?" gasped my son. "Which one?" he asked. "Are there more?" I asked in surprise. "3 that I know of," he said. "They're a family, you see." "How do you know this?" I asked. "'Cause I've seen them." "Wow," I said. "I'm amazed. Why did you not tell me?" "Like you would have believed me," he said. "Our whole family is so skeptical." "That's true," I admitted, "and I do apologize for that." "Why has Bigfoot upset you so much? Has this creature harmed you? I saw all that angry scribbling you did over that large Bigfoot picture of yours." Cliff was furious. "You went through my things," he gasped. "How could you do that, Mother? That's my private stuff." "I want to know what has upset you so much. Recently you've been so withdrawn and depressed." "The big male Bigfoot will not let me play with the little one," he said, suddenly bursting into tears. I cradled Clive in my arms. "Well, maybe he's not comfortable with his child hanging around with you. Just like dads would not be thrilled if he knew you were hanging around Bigfoots." Suddenly we both cracked up laughing at the thought of my cynical husband seeing his son playing with a Bigfoot. So in a nutshell, my son told me that he had been playing with a 3-foot Bigfoot for many weeks. At first the little thing was very frightened of him, but he would talk to the creature and throw him some of his sandwiches from his top box. The creature grew to trust him, and they would play together, throwing stones in the pond. They would catch butterflies and then release them, watching them fly away. They would see who would catch a frog first. I liked him or her, he told me, because he made me laugh. He would imitate me in everything I did. He made me laugh so very much. One day the male Bigfoot roared at my son and scared him half to death by chasing after him and waving his fists angry at him. He was not going to hurt me, but I knew he was telling me to stay away from the young one. I have not seen the young one since. "Is that why you've been so sad?" I asked him. "That, and because I could not share my sadness with anyone, because I know that none of you would have believed me." "I do," I told him, cradling him in my arms and kissing him on the head. "I believe you, and I'm going to sort this all out." "How?" asked my son. "Well, I cannot talk to the large Bigfoot on your account, but I can get you your own dog." "Really, Mum?" asked Clive, tears rolling down his cheeks. "I thought you said I'd have to wait until I was older before I got a dog." "Well, a girl is entitled to change her mind," I said. I'm glad to tell you that my son is back to his normal chirpy self. He continued to share his experiences with me about the Bigfoot, and that helped him to heal. As for his new mountain dog, Lassie, well, they're now inseparable. I hope you enjoyed my Bigfoot story. That was a wonderful Bigfoot story. I loved the account. Thank you so very much for sharing it with us. It was incredible that your son's depression was all because he couldn't play with a Bigfoot, that it clearly touched his heart in such a profound way. Until next time, goodbye and good night.